Today, we interview a marketing professional working in the real estate industry in the East Coast who has been crafting stories since her days as a theater kid in school. Even with her busy day job, she found the inspiration to turn a moment watching a Korean drama into a disciplined writing routine, managing to finish her debut novel in just 10 months to finally become a published author. Truly a creative spirit. So we say, welcome to Writing Inspiration with Markee Books. Hello, CS. How are you?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Dan. I'm good. How are you?
How are you feeling today, this afternoon?
I'm good. It's very cold where I am right now, but I'm feeling pretty good.
Where are you from?
So I actually live in Connecticut. I'm about 2 hours
Oh,
outside of Manhattan. So
yeah. It's snowing right now or something?
there were apparently some flurries while I was sleeping, but I didn't see any snow today. Thank goodness. I'm not ready for that four-letter word.
Maybe next month.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we're still entering winter. So tell me, CS, how long have you been a writer?
So I've kind of always written little stories here and there, but this is my actual first time being published as an author. So this is the very first one, the debut. But even when I was in elementary school, I was writing stories and making up plays with friends. So it's kind of always been there.
Oh, do you like the screenplay then?
I do enjoy. I am not that great at screenplay writing, but I do enjoy, the movies and plays and theater. I was a theater kid in high school, so musicals, regular plays. Yeah, I was right there in the middle of it.
Okay, okay. What made you, decide to actually wrote a book?
So I had actually started a book. I had an idea for a story a couple of years ago, while we were still actually while I had COVID. And I started working on it. And some things happened and I kind of hit a writer's block and kind of put it away. And then the story that is my debut novel kind of popped up while I was watching TV one night. And here we are. I was not anticipating that I would actually finish it, let alone publish it, but it is something I'm very excited about.
I'm happy to hear that. So, you mentioned TV. What inspired you? What were you watching?
So ironically, I was watching a Korean drama, and I happened to have my phone in hand, and I just started kind of scribbling on my phone or doodling on my phone, and the next thing I knew, I had the first draft of the prologue for my book. So
Okay. Well, it's true that Korean dramas are usually very creative.
they are very creative and one of my favorite guilty pleasures.
Actually, it's a current obsession for my mom. She watches them
Okay.
all day. Anything that
If I
comes
didn't have
out,
to
she
go to my day
tries.
job, I would do that.
Well, benefits of retirement, I guess. Okay, okay. So, what is your day job? Or right now, are you only writing your book?
So I do have a day job, although being able to write full time would be amazing. But I actually work in the marketing department for a real estate company here on the East
Okay,
Coast.
okay, okay. So, did you ever thought you will ever trying to become a writer?
Um, Not really. I had always helped, I have friends who are authors and I had always helped them at their book events. And I was like, no, I'm the behind the scenes person. I have the graphics degree. I'm the book cover person. Like, I'm not the writer. And then I wrote the prologue and I happened to ask one of my friends in a Discord server to be like, hey, can you read this and tell me if it's good or not? And the next message I had was, I need the rest of this book now.
Oh,
So
so you have a Discord community with your beta readers?
So it's actually one. There's another author, K.M. Batur, who, ironically, is the friend who read my prologue. It's actually her Discord server called the Literary Loft. So it's writers, it's beta readers, and we kind of talk about works in progress and things. So, it's a very small community just starting out, but it's very helpful. I have
Right.
found.
Oh, okay. So are you close to finish your book, or the book is finished and only the editing is left?
So we are actually even past the editing. I actually have my first book signing on Sunday, and the book officially releases next Friday. So
Oh, that's great. I'll try to send a note on Facebook for exposure.
thank you. I appreciate that. All
No
the exposure is
problem.
welcome.
Oh, okay. So now that you're becoming a complete writer right now, do you have any advice that you learned during your process for new writers who starting right now?
Absolutely. So, having written stories before, but never really letting anyone read them, my big advice is find a community that will be with you throughout. I actually had two, I called them my beta readers, but they were actually alpha, beta, all of the readers, that were with me through the entire process of the book. And I could very easily jump and bounce ideas off of them to be like, hey, you're reading this as a third party, not writing it. Like, what are your thoughts? The other advice I have, and I hadn't encountered this until I started writing, but the brain characters, when the characters in your book start to come alive in your head, it can be scary at first, but it's okay to listen to them. And I kind of fought listening to the brain characters for a while because I was like, no, this is how this story's going to go. And finally, I just had to throw my hands up in the air and say, all right, what exactly do you want to tell me? So the other advice would be, don't be afraid to listen to those brain characters.
Can you elaborate a bit about the term brain character? I actually it's the first time I heard.
Yeah, no worries. So, brain characters are basically like when the characters in your story come alive inside your head and they start talking to you. I had instances not only while I was writing the book, but while I was editing the book where I would just be in the grocery store, or actually, I was at a work event and I was supposed to be focusing on stuff for my day job. And the main male character of my book kept popping in and saying things to me. And I had to like stop, go into a corner so that my coworkers didn't think I was crazy, and basically say out loud, you need to wait until I'm home. But basically, it's where the characters start to come alive and they're like, no, no, we're going to drive this story. You might think you're driving it, but you're just writing it for us. So that's where the term brain characters is comes into play.
Okay, I think I get it. Oh, okay. What was the most difficult thing you have to struggle while you were, in your process?
So the book is a dark romantic suspense novel, and there are some, obviously there's a big page of trigger warnings at the start of the book. So there were some pieces from, my actual life experience that came into play with the book, and the biggest struggle I had was, being able to know that it was okay to be like, okay, I just wrote this really heavy scene. It's okay for me to stop and take a step back and kind of recalibrate. Because in my head, I was like, no, I have to keep going. I have to keep writing. I have to finish this. But so that was my struggle. I wanted to keep going. And at different points, I basically had to like shut my entire laptop down and put it away for 2 days to let myself recalculate. So that was probably the biggest struggle, along with probably just the anxiety of, oh, this is going to get published. People are going to read what I'm writing. Or more importantly, my family might read what I'm writing, and most of them don't read dark romances. So it's like, oh, am I going to have to come up with a redacted version of the book for my family? But they've all told me,
No,
no, I'm not allowed to give them a redacted version. So we'll see how that pans out.
if you let me give you an advice regarding that, it's never work. I have heard other authors doing that for their a curated version for family members. It never
Yeah.
work. They always learn the real one eventually.
Oh yeah, they and actually my godmother and my mom were like, no, no, you're not allowed to give us a redacted version. My mom also throughout the entire writing process would she's a retired English teacher, so she would be like, do not start a sentence, a paragraph, anything with and or but or because. So I've now joked with her that she's going to get a regular copy and then she's going to get a copy with a red pen that she can go through and tell me everything I did wrong in the book. So
Oh God, a Spartan teacher it seems.
Yes. Yeah.
How long did it take you to finish the book, from start to finish?
From start to finish, where I, placed the order for the published version, it was about 10 months. I had the first draft of the prologue like the middle of January. And then I actually finished the first draft on my birthday. And that I mean, as I was cleaning things, I found other books I had started and never finished. So, having those alpha and beta readers to be like, no, no, you need to finish this. Like, I need your next chapters was really nice to have because it was like, oh, okay, I'm finishing this. So yeah, it was about 10 months to kind of fully complete the entire process.
That's actually very good.
Yeah,
For
I was surprised with myself.
for someone that is actually working, that is a great timeline.
Yeah, I didn't really leave my apartment that much in the last 10 months. It's either I was at work, I was with family, or I was sitting actually here at my desk writing.
Right. Okay. Oh, do you have like a writing routine that you were like very religious about on the process?
Um I don't, well, I mean, I guess you could call it a routine. I created a playlist that matched the themes for the book. So I always had that playing. And then I always made a cup of coffee to have. And usually there were about three or four more coffees had while I was writing. So I always had to have music and my coffee. And usually I had to text my family to be like, hey, I'm going to start writing. Leave me alone for a couple hours.
Oh dear, I envy those that coffee actually do something to them. In my case, doesn't matter how much I take, it doesn't work.
I don't know if it does anything for me either. I normally drink like the Korean instant coffee
Oh,
sticks,
for
and I got
comfort.
hooked on those during COVID. So honestly, I think it's just a placebo effect at this point for me. It's like, oh, I'm having coffee. I must be awake.
Yeah, probably. Okay, okay. So, are you like a pre-planner, a plotter, or you just improvise?
So I do like to kind of pre-plan and pre-plot, but that is where when the brain characters took over, it was driving me crazy because I had a plan in my head and they would change it. So at a certain point, I was just like, okay, we're just gonna have the basic framework of the plan that we had, and then just kind of improvise along the way. Um, so I love to say that I'm a pre-planner. It does not always it doesn't always work out that I can follow the plan.
Yeah, I understand you. It's never easy to pre-plan because pre-planning means compromising and never changing anything. But once you put the words in actually the in the paper or the document, whatever, it never gets the same. The
It
feeling is not
doesn't.
the same. Maybe you say that, I don't know, she was supposed to watch the sunset over a tree, below a tree dramatically, but then you realize that's stupid, and then you want to make her do that on a hill, something
Yep,
like that. It never,
exactly.
but then you realize that the emotional depth on both situations completely changed the rest of the book, and you're pretty much destroying your pre-planning.
That is exactly it, Dan. That's exactly it. That's what happens.
Exactly. Oh, do you do anything in particular when you feel stuck?
Um, Usually when I feel stuck, I will definitely like walk away from my computer because I need to not I tried staring at the computer to see if I could just like get the words to come out when I got stuck. It doesn't always work. So usually I'll step away and I'll play a video game or just listen to a totally different playlist, or I'll call my mom or my nephews and my brother and, usually kind of distract myself. And then once that distraction kicks in, then my brain will be like, I got it. It's like a light bulb moment.
Do you play like story heavy games or just comfort games to pass time?
So sometimes they're story heavy. A lot of times when I would get stuck, it would be Minecraft. And I would literally just go in and create a flat world and just set up a bunch of dynamite and then just light it and see what happens.
Oh
That's
my
kind of
god,
what I wanted my brain to do.
that reminded me on the 2000 with people with Grand Theft Auto making
Yep.
all the cows in the world as a way to,
Yep. I never played Grand Theft Auto, but usually with Minecraft, if I really am stuck or even if I've had like a really frustrating day at work, like I'll just go into Minecraft and just set up a whole bunch of TNT and just blow a hole in the ground because it's not actually destroying anything.
I know what you meant. Oh, so let's talk a little bit about your book. Can you tell us a little bit what it is about? You mentioned that it's dark romance.
So the title of the book is Scorched Boundaries. It is a dark romance with suspense and thriller aspects, and it follows our female lead, Maeve, who ironically also works in real estate marketing. They say write what you know, and I kind of did that with this book. So it's her story with our main male character, Lee Hae Jin, and kind of how their relationship both at work and outside of work kind of hits this tumultuous center, and some shadows from Maeve's past come back to kind of scorch the boundaries that she's set up in her life. So there's obviously it's going to be spicy at points, but there's thriller aspects, there's suspense aspects, and there may even be a little bit of revenge in it, which is kind of fun.
Okay, that sounds interesting. I saw the cover because Markee Books is actually making it.
Yes, they did.
So it's about an interracial couple drama.
It is, yes. So Maeve is Irish American and Lee Hae Jin is Korean. So it's interracial and it's just kind of it's all the things I love to read, but kind of put together in a different way. Um, and with a little bit of, real estate marketing thrown in there because I spend my entire day in the marketing office of a real estate company. So I was going to have her do something else, and then I was like, I don't know what else to have her do. I don't know anything else.
Okay, do you have a story of how you named your book?
So that actually kind of came through in talking with my one alpha reader, Cam Bator, because I was like, the passion between the two main characters is so fiery. I was like, but there are these boundaries. So it was kind of we just kind of like talked it through, and that ended up then being, oh, I like that title. And then we came up with other titles, and now this is actually going to be book one of what I'm planning right now as a 4-book series. So it's now the Burned by Desire series. So it kind of started from like one conversation and then bloomed into an entire series. So we went from one book to 4 in one conversation.
Oh, so you're planning to grow more?
Yes. So this first book kind of builds the world, and Maeve and Hae Jin are our main couple. And then there are other characters you meet in this book that book 2 will be a different couple. Book 3 will start out as a why choose between 3 of the characters, but then it eventually turns into one couple and then a fourth couple in the 4th book. So some of the themes will uh, follow through the entire thing. Some of the events in book 1 might come up again in book 2 or book 3 or book 4, depending upon how I structure the timeline.
I like it that you change the protagonist in each book. Otherwise, it will be like, oh, the couple is happy. Oh no, there's a second book. You know what that means?
Yes.
Drama.
Yeah. And yeah. But I mean, who doesn't love drama? But I also, I grew up watching all like the Hallmark romance movies where it's like, oh, the first one is them getting together, the second one is the wedding. But the other thing I wanted,
And the third one
yeah,
is the drama that it almost divorced what the wife is pregnant or something like that.
exactly. So I wanted this series, not only each book to be a different couple, but also I wanted to make sure that all of my characters were diverse. So each book has some form of, um, you know, interracial LGBTQ plus, I wanted to have that diversity that we have in the world reflected in this work of dark romantic fiction.
That's true. That's great. Okay. So have you ever thought on writing other genres, or are you full in with romance?
I mean, I am a sucker for a good romance novel. It doesn't have to be dark. It can be contemporary, it can be bubblegum romance, which is like the really soft, cutesy romance. But I do love reading other books. Actually, growing up, one of my favorite series was the Lord of the Rings novels. So go figure how I jumped from Lord of the Rings to dark romance.
Oh
It's a very weird
God.
thing.
It
I
is.
wouldn't be opposed if I had like an idea for a book outside of a romance genre. Because as a writer, the only way you get better is by challenging yourself. You're not going to really grow your fan base if you stick with, one genre, one type of piece. You need to expand, just like the world changes.
Well, romance, it's not, set in stone. I mean,
No,
there's romantasy that it's extremely
there is,
popular,
yes.
and romantic horror, which is a little bit tricky for me, but yeah.
I can't really do the romantic horror, but that's also because I can't really do horror movies. Like if you show me a scary movie, I'm gonna have nightmares for weeks. Weeks. So romantic horror, maybe not. But I mean romantasy, who doesn't love a good, fairy romance or dark fae or one of my friends is currently reading Akatar and she's like, you need to read this. And I'm like, can I finish my book before you start having me read something else?
How does it how's the title written, like Akitar?
Oh, so Akatar is actually an anagram. So it's a court of thorns and roses. And they call it Akatar for
Oh, I
short so that you're
know.
not saying yes.
I know that book.
Yeah. Yes, it is very popular. But yeah, so it's so that you're not saying a court of thorns and roses and taking 5 minutes to say the title, they kind of shortened it to Akatar just to
Okay,
save a little
okay.
time.
Okay, then right now, what is like your biggest goal or dream as an author?
Um, that is a really good question. I think right now my biggest goal and my biggest dream as an author is to be able to connect with the readers and really just be able to give a reader an escape. Because right now we're all looking for different ways to escape. And if my book can provide them, with that escape, whether it's what's going on in the world, what might be going on at their job or with their family, if I can give even just like an hour of an escape to a reader, then for me, my job as an author is done and I've succeeded.
Right. Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention, right now you're self-publishing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I am self publishing.
Yes, because honestly, I was going to ask you how do you plan to handle the challenge of marketing? I know that you haven't published yet, but that's your fate after next week.
Yes.
But
So yeah,
if you were traditional, it will be another story because they do it for you.
they do. Yes. And I mean, I am self publishing, but I am very grateful. I have actually been able to curate with, uh, I mentioned her earlier, Kay Batur, a kind of publishing label. It's not actually a traditional publishing house, but it's a label that kind of focuses on romance and it's Velvet Sirens Publishing. So we have, I'm self-publishing, but I have that kind of look and feel of no, look, publisher. So it's a kind of self-publishing label that she and I started so that we can, reach out to other self-publishing romance authors and be able to kind of grow the community even more because a lot of times when you self-publish there's kind of a stigma that like, oh, you're self-publishing, it's not the same, it's not as
Well,
good, and that's
it
not always the
used
case.
it used to
It
be
used
like
to be.
that, but I
Yes.
don't think right now it's that big of a
It's getting
deal. But
better.
before,
It's getting better for us self-publishers.
Yeah, but it's that the problem is that it's so easy that people became more, they are taking their books to a standard more than before because
Yes.
as anyone can self-publish, and believe me, we do formatting, we do proofreading, and in certain levels editing. So I personally can tell you there are some books that you actually will ask, how does this get approved?
Yeah. And that's kind of the other part with Velvet Sirens, because the eventual goal is that we would be able to have other authors come in and, be able to connect those authors with formatters, with editors, maybe connect them with Markee Books for their book cover. But kind of give someone who is going to self-publish that foundation that you get with traditional publishing, but not everyone can achieve, because traditional publishing and getting into a publishing house is really hard. Almost impossible. So that's kind of where we want this label to be like, no, you're still self-publishing, but you're going to have like that foundation and that base of, oh, it's not just, hey, I wrote a book. How did this get published? Kind of a thing.
Honestly, because most people prefer self-publishing, it's not like that it's impossible as before to do traditional. The problem is that if you get successful, that's when you're going to probably regret your choice.
That is also the possibility. Yes. But so yeah, so this is I prefer the self-publishing route for now. If eventually in the future, it works out that maybe I can dive into the world of traditional publishing, I mean, I wouldn't say no to at least talking to a traditional publisher. Because back in the 90s when I was growing up, you weren't really an author unless you had a publisher, you had an editor, you had you know, a person who called you every month to be like, where are those pages owe me. I kind of had that with my alpha readers, but I didn't have to pay them 10% my book sales.
Do you have like a proper editor working with you, or do you do it yourself right now?
So I actually worked with an editor that I found through Fiverr. Her name is Erica. She was super great and super helpful. And in talking with her, she and I now have a relationship now. So she is a professional editor, but she was one that I could find on a budget, because since I hadn't published a book yet and I have other bills, it was like, ooh, publishing on a budget, editor, cool. But yeah, but no, so I started working with Erica, and she's phenomenal. So she's already asking me when the second book's going to be ready, and I'm like, wait a minute, can we get the first book out first?
Yeah, I get it. So about this, so about your books, are you planning to release one by one, or maybe all together later in a bundle?
So right now they are going to be released one at a time, but my hope is that, maybe once the fourth book is out, maybe on like the anniversary of like the completion of the series, kind of doing a like special edition hardcover bundle. But right now they're going to be, one by one as paperback and ebook. I actually already have the release date on my calendar for book two, so my alpha readers are already like, when do we see book two?
You should try a window of 5 to 6 months between books if you want, because that's recommended for to giving the first book time to sale. Because in
Yep.
some cases, when an author publish too many books, one after the other, if they are not a series, which is our
Yeah.
with continuations or stuff like that, usually the second book might steal sales from the first one.
Yes. Well, you're going to get a spoiler, Dan, because the date that I have on my calendar for book two is actually Valentine's Day of 2027. So that's
perfect.
a little bit more than 5 to 6 months. It also gives me time to write it.
That's perfect. Actually, I was going to tell you that sometimes authors put their releases on specific dates like that to take the boon of the moment. For example, Christmas books, Halloween, or
Mhm.
horror stories for Halloween, romance for Valentine.
Yes, yeah, this one, the release date for this book actually, ironically, so the original concept for a book that I had started with, I had talked with my nana about, and she was kind of the inspiration also for uh my author name, my pseudonym, and she at 103 years old, almost 104, passed away last year on Thanksgiving. And ironically, she was always asking me about the original story. Well, what's it about? Tell me more. Um, and when I was doing things, it actually the irony of it all is Scorched Boundaries is going to be released on the 1 year anniversary of her passing on Black Friday. So because the dates don't always match up with Thanksgiving, because we did joke. It's like, oh, okay, she picked Thanksgiving so that we always remember her on Thanksgiving while we're eating turkey. But it's kind of working out that that this publishing date works out for this anniversary, which I hadn't initially planned. It just kind of happened that way. But yeah, no, normally with the traditional like romance comes out on Valentine's Day or around like, a loving holiday or anniversary, and it just kind of worked out that this gets to be my little homage to my nana. Although I'm really hoping she was like sleeping as my guardian angel while I was writing some of these scenes, because I do not want her over my shoulder as I was writing some of these scenes.
Oh boy. It was probably a lonely Christmas last year. Oh,
It was, but it gave my family and I a chance to be even closer. It gave us that time to really reflect on the holidays of the past and kind of remember those memories. Um, but actually, it was, I was still in shock. She was eight weeks shy of her 104th birthday, so I can't complain. I mean, I could, but
right.
no one would listen to me anyway. But
Right. So, in which platforms can we get your book once it's out?
yeah, so I used Ingram Spark to get everything set up. So right now it is actually available for pre-order on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, for both the paperback and the ebook. And then I'm finishing up some minor tweaks with my author website, but you'll be able to buy it there as well directly from me in case someone wants to buy an autographed copy. I'm not going to say everyone's going to want an autographed copy, but if perchance there is someone who does, there will be a way to get that.
Okay. Well, it seems you're going to be very busy like next week.
Yes, yeah. So I have a small little book launch reception, and then my first book signing following it, and then yeah, the release day next Friday. I've had a countdown on my computer for the last 8 months, and it's just ticking down. And I looked at it today, and I went, "Oh, 10 days! Oh, 10 days!" um. So, but at least I know that it's done and it's ready to just have that button release to release it into the world. So,
Right. Do you have like another idea, maybe going to an event on Connecticut? I think you probably can drive to maybe Pittsburgh or something close for
yeah,
their
so
big book fairs.
I have seen some of the book fairs. There's actually a great group here in Connecticut, Connecticut Book Festivals. They do book events all the time, so I'll probably be stopping at some of theirs. And actually, before I realized the dates lined up, one of my friends is going to be doing a craft booth at a Christmas market on the 30th, and she makes cloth bookmarks that are like the corner bookmarks. And she looked at me and she was like, I was going to ask if I could just like borrow one of your books to demonstrate, but do you just want to sit at the table and sell your books while I'm selling bookmarks? And I was like, okay, sure.
Cool. That's
So yeah,
great.
so we've got the book signing and the Christmas market coming up, and then that same friend, we were looking at a couple. They have romance books conventions where they have authors and vendors. So I'm definitely going to be looking at some of those for the future. I just have to map
Oh,
out the time. And
there are ones of those for romance. I knew there were first specifically for horror or fantasy. Didn't know for romance. Interesting.
yes, yeah, they have them for romance too. Actually, I was at a book event on, was it Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. And one of the authors there was talking about one, and they have panels and the author tables, and then they have book vendors. So um there are a lot of there are a lot more book events than I realized until after I was like, oh, I have a book now. I can go to all these things. And it was like my social media algorithm just like knew, because it just started popping up all of these things of, BookCon this, BookCon that. And I'm like, oh, where were you before when I like wasn't an author and wanted to go find new books? But okay. So
It happens. Okay,
it
okay.
does.
Oh boy. So, thank you, CS. Can you tell me a little bit about your social media for people interested in your updates?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on pretty much every social media platform you can think of. I have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I have Twitter, or I think it's called X now. I don't know. I've always called it Twitter or the Bird app.
I still do
And
it.
yeah, I still do it. And I actually am in the process of putting together a Twitch channel so that, other authors or readers, we can just kind of vibe and talk about books. So the handle pretty much across all the platforms is cskelleher.books. Tried to make it as easy as possible to remember. But yeah, so TikTok, Instagram, Facebook,
They are all
Twitter.
under CS Kelleher name.
Yes. Yep. They are all under the CS Kelleher books.
Excellent.
And actually each profile has my link tree so you can get to all of them.
Okay. Well, CS, I think that's all for now. Thank you so much for joining us today and for this conversation and for this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Dan. This has been so much fun.
I'm happy to hear that. Thank you so much for joining us to another episode of Writing Inspiration with Markee Books. We say bye to CS Kelleher. Bye, CS. Bye to you, and see you next week. Bye. Well, thanks for coming and joining us today. If you find this episode inspiring, like, subscribe, and share this video. And give Markee Books a try in the link below. Well, thanks, and see you next week. Bye.